Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Kadha, where we believe that everyone has an amazing story. And what an amazing story we have for you today. With us today is Navya Agarwal. She is the founder of Project Limitless. Navya, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. Could you tell us a little bit about your journey so far?
Right, thank you for having me. So I'm Navya, and I started an initiative called Project Limitless back in 2018. This entire journey started when I was very young. I was born in the United States, and I was first exposed to art through the standard art classes, and I immediately fell in love. And then later, when I came to India, I was introduced to the idea of impacting communities through art when I visited a sex trafficking rescue center. I had originally gone there to teach the girls some drawing and painting skills, but we ended up spending the entire day creating artwork, and I could tell that it brought them so much joy. And then later that evening, the owner of the space, she told me some of the girls' harrowing narratives of sex trafficking, and they so deeply contrasted the girls' positive nature. And I knew that those stories were important. I knew that I had to share them with the world because they were always pushed to the sidelines of mainstream media. And that's when I had the idea of combining the joy that art brought them with the importance of the stories and creating a mural in their space that depicted their narrative. So the next week I came with a bucket of paints and we painted a mural. I posted the picture online, and from there it snowballed. Now we've created 16 murals in places ranging from juvenile detention centers to special needs schools, and there's been over 250 volunteers involved in these murals, and they've reached over 74,000 people. So yeah.
Okay, thank you, Navya. That's awesome. You also go to school, you're in high school, very critical years, as they say. How do you find the time and how do you make all this come together?
I think there's two main things. The first is the fact that I'm not doing this alone. When I was, and it was definitely a little bit overwhelming, but now that I have so many volunteers and people involved, we have a really smooth way of running things. So I will give someone instructions to direct something, and things get done that way. And the second thing is, of course, weekends, breaks after school. We now we paint around 8 murals in a span of 3 days. We condense everything into a time where I have breaks and I'm free to paint. So that's really where the balance comes from.
Very cool. And you do have a global network right now, right? In terms of volunteers, this is not just in India, is that correct?
Yeah. So Project Limitless is the recipient of the International Baccarat grant, and one of the outcomes of that grant was, a global network of advisors, volunteers, of supporters. So I think it's very cool to have people from other countries kind of give their inputs into projects like this and see how we can make change here in India.
Very cool. And Navya, so taking a step back, right? What is it that you absolutely love about the work that you do?
I think the coolest thing is when we go to a painting location and we start unpacking our paints, and then within 10 minutes, there's already a bunch of people just from the street lined up to come join us. And, these are people who are obviously going somewhere, but they've taken time out of their day because they've been fascinated by paint and by the art. And, we spend hours together just creating artwork. And these are people who, if I had seen them on the road, I probably would not have connected with them. But thanks to art, thanks to the murals, we're connecting and we're spending time together and creating something beautiful together.
Fantastic. Was it overwhelming when you first thought about doing this? Like, what kept you going and not giving up? Because a lot of people have amazing ideas, but then they don't make that leap. What kept you going?
I think the first time I did it, I was honestly quite naive. I just bought a couple of buckets of paint and I was like, yeah, this will be easy, no problem. And it was definitely very stressful and just physically challenging, and I had made a bunch of mistakes, things I hadn't prepared for. But the end result, this massive, beautiful mural and the way it transformed an entire space, it motivated me to keep doing it. And as I've painted more and more murals, I think the process has become much smoother and I'm much more comfortable going to a place and painting. It's a lot less daunting to me now.
Very cool. And as I understand it, what you essentially do is take the volunteers, have an idea, you go meet the underserved community, you get a sense for what they're about, what their aspirations are, and then you imagine a mural that represent their hopes, sort of their situation, if you will. And then you go out there right in the middle of the community and you paint this mural for them. Is that correct?
Yep. Yeah.
Very cool. And of how many murals have you done so far?
So to date, we've done 16 murals in around
Wow.
11 communities. Yeah.
Very cool. What in your mind is the most impactful outcome so far from Project Limitless?
I think it's really hard for me to quantify the outcome, and I've tried, but art really impacts people at a level that's so deep and so hard to identify or measure. But with that being said, looking back, the most impactful murals were definitely the first ones that we did, the ones that were 2 or 3 years ago. There was a sex trafficking rescue home that I mentioned, there was a juvenile detention center, and now when I look at those places, they're completely different places than they were 2 or 3 years ago. They've completely welcomed creativity into their lives. Even during lockdown, they were having regular art competitions. And thanks to the mural being there as, this physical form of creativity and brightness, they've begun to appreciate the power of art, and used it as a way to heal. So I think looking back, these 2 places, the first ones that I painted, they're a true testament to the power of murals.
And I think you mentioned that a few folks, after watching you paint the mural, were so inspired that they're going to follow through and learn more about art and painting, and potentially make that sort of their career of choice. Is that correct?
Yeah, so first of all, our volunteers, I think for them, murals really introduce them to another side of art, the idea of art being something more than just beauty. And a lot of them have gone or are going off to design schools. And then even within the communities that we're painting, the underprivileged communities, a lot of them are really actively creating art and even potentially pursuing it.
Very cool. Okay. All right. So great. You've come this far. It's been about 2 years. How do you envision taking this forward? What are the next steps for Project Limitless?
I think the goal is to make India a walk-through gallery, because art is still not very accessible in here in India. High quality, socially meaningful art is often limited to wealthy homes and galleries. But if we put it out on the streets somewhere where everybody can access it, can feel it, can be a part of it, then that can really change the way the society works.
Nice, very nice. So, as I mentioned earlier, you are part of the One Thing podcast series from Kadha. What is the one thing you want to tell your audience? This could mean people who are waiting to start something of their own, people who love art and may want to make it more impactful. What is the one thing that you've learned from your journey and you would like to share with others?
I think that giving back is most impactful when it's done in a way that's very true to who you are. So, if you're a rapper, then you make rap songs that make people smile. If you're a chef, then you can make people happy through your food. But you have to kind of try to put all of your personality, all of your talent, all of your passion into what you do, because if it brings you joy, then it will bring other people joy as well.
Very nice. Navya, one last question for you. Where can people find out more about your amazing work and everything that you're doing to help others?
We have a website, www.projectlimitless.social, and everything is there.
Wonderful. Thank you again for your time, Navya. We really appreciate it. We wish you the very best with everything. Thank you everyone for joining us. And that's it from Kadha for today. Signing off. Bye-bye.